The spacecraft horizon hummed softly as it approached the alien planet's atmosphere. Dr. Jae-sung Park watched the swirling green and blue surface through the reinforced view screen, his fingers tapping nervously against the control panel. After years of preparation, their international research team was about to make first contact with Kepler 452b. The planet looked deceptively peaceful. Massive ocean regions covered nearly 80% of its surface, with scattered archipelagos breaking the endless blue-green expanse. Initial satellite scans had revealed complex underwater thermal signatures that suggested potential life forms, but nothing could prepare them for what they were about to discover. Hye-jin Kim, the team's youngest research assistant, monitored the atmospheric composition readings. Her hands moved quickly across the holographic display, verifying each data point with meticulous precision. Unlike previous missions where excitement often overshadowed scientific rigor, this team was different. They were professionals who understood the magnitude of their potential discovery. The landing module detached from the main spacecraft with calculated precision. Jae-sung piloted the small craft, his decades of experience guiding them through the planet's turbulent upper atmospheric layers. Condensation formed on the windows as they descended, creating intricate patterns that momentarily distracted the researchers from their mission. Two other team members, Dr. Michael Rodriguez and Dr. Elena Petrova, checked their environmental suits. The suits were designed to withstand extreme pressures and potential chemical interactions unknown to human biology. Each piece of equipment represented years of advanced engineering and collaborative international research. As they approached the ocean's surface, strange electromagnetic readings began to pulse across their instrument panels. The readings were unlike anything in their extensive databases. Patterns emerged that suggested some form of complex communication or environmental response mechanism. "Something's responding to our approach," Hye-jin whispered, her voice a mixture of scientific curiosity and barely contained excitement. The instrument readings showed rapid changes in underwater thermal signatures, almost as if something was actively monitoring their descent. The landing module touched down on a rocky underwater plateau. Massive rock formations surrounded them, creating a natural amphitheater of stone and marine vegetation. Strange bioluminescent organisms drifted past their reinforced windows, casting ethereal blue-green light across the research vessel. Jae-sung ran preliminary environmental checks. Oxygen levels were breathable, though slightly higher in nitrogen content than Earth's atmosphere. Water temperature hovered around 22 degrees Celsius, surprisingly comfortable for potential exploration. "Prepare for external observation," he announced, his voice calm and professional. The team had trained for years for this moment, understanding that first contact required patience, careful documentation, and absolute scientific objectivity. As the external cameras activated, something moved in the distance. At first, it appeared like a complex underwater current, but then the movement became more deliberate. Organic structures began to take shape. Not quite plant, not quite animal, but something entirely unprecedented. Tendrils of what seemed like biological matter started to approach the landing module. They moved with an intelligence that suggested more than random marine movement. Each tendril displayed intricate patterns of movement, almost like a complex neural network exploring its environment. "Recording everything," Hye-jin muttered, her fingers dancing across multiple recording interfaces. Every millisecond of this encounter would be meticulously documented, analyzed, and studied. The alien organisms seemed to be communicating, not through sound, but through complex biochemical signals and light patterns. Bioluminescent pulses moved across their surfaces, creating intricate designs that hinted at a communication system far beyond human comprehension. Dr. Rodriguez leaned closer to the view screen. "This is extraordinary," he whispered, his scientific detachment momentarily replaced by pure wonder. Jae-sung remained focused. One wrong move could compromise their entire mission. These were not just strange marine creatures, they represented a potential breakthrough in understanding extraterrestrial life. As the first hour of their planetary exploration concluded, the research team realized they were witnessing something that would rewrite scientific understanding. This was more than a mission. This was the beginning of humanity's true comprehension of life beyond Earth. The alien world continued to pulse and breathe around them, holding secrets waiting to be uncovered. The research laboratory aboard the Horizon hummed with intense concentration. Hee-Jin Kim carefully transferred the first biological samples into specialized containment units, her hands moving with practiced precision. The alien organisms they had collected defied every standard classification system scientists had ever developed. Under the high-powered microscope, the cellular structures looked like nothing from Earth. They seemed to breathe, move, and reorganize themselves in ways that challenged fundamental biological understanding. Each sample pulsed with an internal rhythm, displaying a level of complexity that made traditional biological research look like child's play. Jae-sung reviewed the initial data streams, his eyes narrowing with each new revelation. The organism's cellular membranes weren't just passive barriers, they were active, intelligent systems that could rapidly adapt to different environmental conditions. What would take Earth-based organisms months or years seemed to happen in mere minutes for these alien life forms. "Look at this," Hee-Jin called out, pointing to a particularly strange cellular interaction. A group of cells had just merged, split, and then reorganized into a completely different structure. It was as if the cells were solving a complex puzzle in real time, constantly redesigning themselves to meet unknown challenges. Dr. Elena Petrova began running comparative analyses. The genetic material, if it could even be called genetic material, didn't follow any known DNA or RNA structures. Instead, it appeared to be a dynamic system that could completely rewrite its own molecular configuration almost instantaneously. The team worked in shifts, each researcher bringing a different perspective to the extraordinary discovery. Michael Rodriguez, a specialist in extreme environment biology, noted how the samples maintained perfect internal balance regardless of external pressure, temperature, or chemical exposure. As hours turned into days, the research team discovered something even more remarkable. The organisms seemed to have a form of distributed intelligence. Each cellular cluster could communicate and coordinate with others, creating a network that responded to stimuli with remarkable speed and complexity. Hee-Jin developed a specialized scanning technique that could capture the rapid molecular transformations. She created 3D models that showed how the alien cells could virtually reshape themselves in milliseconds. One moment they might look like a complex neural network, the next like a highly efficient respiratory system. "It's like watching living technology," Michael remarked during one late-night analysis session. The cells appeared to have characteristics of both biological organisms and advanced computational systems. They processed information, adapted, and responded with a level of efficiency that seemed almost impossible. The team began to realize they were dealing with something far beyond a simple marine organism. These were intelligent living systems that could potentially redefine everything humanity understood about life, adaptation, and biological intelligence. Jae-sung noticed a peculiar pattern in the cellular transformations. The organisms seemed to be studying the research equipment just as intently as the researchers were studying them. When different types of light were introduced, the cellular structures would subtly shift and change, almost as if they were learning and responding to new information. Blood samples from the initial expedition showed even more bizarre characteristics. The alien equivalent of blood cells could change shape, merge, split, and reorganize within seconds. What would be a critical failure in a human body appeared to be a standard operating procedure for these extraordinary life forms. Communication became a key area of investigation. The researchers developed specialized equipment to try and understand the biochemical signals the organisms used. It wasn't just about chemical exchanges, it was a complex language of molecular movement and reorganization. As the research progressed, more questions emerged than answers. How did these organisms develop such advanced adaptive capabilities? What environmental pressures could drive such extraordinary evolutionary mechanisms? The team realized they were looking at a form of life that made Earth's most advanced species seem primitive by comparison. Ye-Jin's most significant breakthrough came when she discovered that the organisms could essentially remember environmental interactions. Exposure to specific conditions would cause cellular modifications that could be passed to subsequent cellular generations almost instantaneously. By the end of the initial research phase, the team knew one thing for certain. They had discovered something that would change scientific understanding forever. These were not just alien organisms. They were a completely new form of intelligent life that challenged everything humanity thought they knew about biology, intelligence, and adaptation. The universe, they realized, was far more complex and wonderful than anyone had ever imagined. The underwater exploration vessel descended slowly into the dark depths of Kepler 452b's massive ocean. Jae-sung controlled the craft with careful movements, his eyes fixed on the external cameras that captured every detail of the alien marine environment. Strange bioluminescent creatures drifted past, creating corridors of blue and green light that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly rhythm. Ye-Jin monitored the advanced sensor systems, her fingers tracing the complex data streams that flowed across multiple holographic displays. Something unusual was happening with the alien organisms they had been studying. The cellular samples they had collected were showing signs of unprecedented adaptive behavior. Suddenly, a massive shape emerged from the darkness. It wasn't a single organism, but a complex network of interconnected biological structures that moved like a living ecosystem. The creature, if it could be called a creature, seemed to be multiple organisms working as a single intelligent system. "Are you seeing this?" Michael's voice cracked with excitement over the communication system. The external cameras captured an extraordinary sight. The alien organism was actively changing its internal structure, reorganizing its cellular networks in real time. Jae-sung watched in amazement as the organism demonstrated capabilities that defied all known biological principles. Its body could instantly modify its shape, creating complex neural-like networks that seemed to process information faster than any computer humanity had ever developed. The underwater environment became a living laboratory. The alien organism began to interact with the research vessel, sending out intricate biochemical signals that suggested a form of communication far beyond human understanding. It was studying the vessel just as carefully as the researchers were studying it. Ye-Jin discovered something extraordinary during the observation. The organism could perfectly mimic the neural structures of Earth's most intelligent marine creatures. But it wasn't just mimicking, it was improving upon them. Complex problem-solving patterns emerged that suggested a level of intelligence far beyond simple biological adaptation. The research team watched as the organism demonstrated an ability to learn and respond to new environments with incredible speed. What would take Earth-based organisms years of evolution happened in mere minutes. Each cellular cluster could communicate, adapt, and solve complex environmental challenges almost instantaneously. "It's like watching a living computer," Elena whispered, her scientific composure momentarily broken by pure wonder. The organism could reshape its internal systems to meet any challenge, creating new biological solutions faster than any known life form. Deeper investigations revealed even more shocking discoveries. The organism didn't just adapt to its environment, it could actively modify the environment around it. Cellular clusters could manipulate water currents, create complex chemical interactions, and even generate localized energy fields. Jae-sung realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. This wasn't just a new form of life, it was a completely new understanding of what life could be. The organism challenged every fundamental principle of biology, evolution, and intelligence that humanity had ever developed. The underwater exploration continued, with each moment bringing new revelations. The alien organism seemed to be communicating through a complex language of molecular movements and biochemical exchanges. It was studying the research team just as carefully as they were studying it. Michael discovered that the organism's adaptive capabilities went far beyond physical transformation. It could process and store information at a molecular level, creating a form of living memory that was both biological and computational. Each cellular interaction was a complex problem-solving process. As hours passed, The research team collected unprecedented data. They watched in awe as the organism demonstrated abilities that seemed more like science fiction than scientific reality. It could reshape its internal systems, communicate through complex biochemical signals, and adapt to challenges with incredible speed. He Jin's most significant observation came near the end of the expedition. The organism wasn't just a collection of cells. It was a living, thinking network that could coordinate its actions with incredible precision. Each part worked in perfect harmony, creating a system of intelligence that was both beautiful and terrifying. The breakthrough discovery was clear. They had found a form of life that existed beyond human understanding, a living system that could think, adapt, and evolve faster than anything previously known. The universe, they realized, was far more complex and wonderful than anyone had ever imagined. As the research vessel began its return journey, the team knew nothing would ever be the same. They had discovered something that would rewrite scientific understanding and challenge everything humanity thought they knew about life, intelligence, and adaptation. The research conference hall buzzed with nervous excitement. Scientists from around the world gathered to hear about the extraordinary discovery from Kepler 452b. Jae-sung stood at the podium, his hands slightly trembling as he prepared to present findings that would change scientific understanding forever. "What we've discovered," he began, "is not just a new life form. It's a complete reimagining of biological intelligence." The massive screen behind him displayed complex molecular structures that seemed to dance and reshape themselves in real time. He Jin's research demonstrated how the alien organisms could completely restructure their cellular systems in milliseconds. Medical researchers in the audience began to understand the potential implications. If such adaptive capabilities could be understood, it might revolutionize treatments for genetic diseases, cancer, and other complex medical challenges. Biologists realized the discovery challenged everything they knew about evolution. The alien organism didn't just adapt, it actively designed biological solutions to environmental challenges. What would take Earth species millions of years happened in moments for these extraordinary life forms. Michael Rodriguez presented data showing the organism's ability to process information at a molecular level. Computer scientists in the audience leaned forward, realizing this was far more than a biological discovery. It was a new model of information processing that could transform computational technologies. The implications stretched across multiple scientific disciplines. Geneticists saw possibilities for understanding genetic restructuring. Environmental scientists recognized a new model of ecological adaptation. Physicists noticed how the organism could manipulate energy at a cellular level. Elena Petrova's presentation focused on the communication methods of the alien organisms. They didn't use sound or traditional communication methods. Instead, they exchanged complex information through molecular movements and biochemical signals. It was a language more sophisticated than any human communication system. Government representatives from multiple countries sat in stunned silence. This discovery wasn't just a scientific breakthrough, it was a potential game changer for human understanding of intelligence, adaptation, and biological potential. The most shocking revelation came from He Jin's detailed molecular analysis. The organism could essentially remember environmental interactions at a cellular level. Each experience was instantly integrated into its biological system, creating a living memory that was both biological and computational. Technological implications became immediately apparent. Engineers began discussing how these biological principles could revolutionize artificial intelligence, computing systems, and technological adaptation. The alien organism demonstrated a level of problem-solving that made current AI look primitive. Medical researchers saw unprecedented possibilities. The organism's ability to rapidly restructure its cellular systems suggested potential treatments for genetic disorders, cellular regeneration, and understanding complex biological processes. It was like discovering a living blueprint for biological repair and adaptation. Environmental scientists recognized a new model of ecological interaction. The organism could modify its environment, communicate through complex biochemical signals, and adapt to challenges with incredible speed. It represented a completely new understanding of how life could interact with its surroundings. Philosophical discussions emerged about the nature of intelligence and life. The alien organism challenged traditional definitions. It wasn't just alive. It was a complex, adaptive, intelligent system that could think, learn, and evolve at speeds beyond human comprehension. As the conference progressed, the initial shock transformed into excitement. Scientists from different disciplines began collaborating, recognizing that this discovery was bigger than any single field of study. It was a window into a new understanding of life itself. Jae-sung watched as his team's research sparked conversations that would change scientific understanding forever. They had discovered something that went beyond traditional scientific boundaries, a form of life that was both terrifyingly complex and incredibly beautiful. The final presentation revealed the most profound implication. This wasn't just about understanding an alien organism. It was about reimagining what life could be, a dynamic, intelligent, adaptive system that could solve problems, communicate, and evolve in ways humanity had never imagined. As the conference concluded, one thing became clear. The discovery from Kepler 452b was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a moment that would redefine humanity's understanding of life, intelligence, and the extraordinary possibilities of the universe. The universe, they now understood, was far more wonderful and complex than anyone had ever dreamed. The world changed overnight. News of the alien organism discovery spread faster than any scientific breakthrough in human history. Television screens, internet feeds, and digital platforms bombarded people with images of the extraordinary life form from Kepler 452b. Jae-sung and his research team became global celebrities overnight. They appeared on international news channels, explaining the complex biological discoveries that would reshape human understanding. Governments, scientific institutions, and technology companies began racing to understand the implications. Universities around the world started developing new research programs focused on the alien organism's adaptive capabilities. Young scientists saw unprecedented opportunities to explore biological intelligence that challenged everything previously known about life and evolution. The medical community was the first to recognize massive potential. Researchers began investigating how the organism's cellular restructuring could help treat genetic disorders, cancer, and seemingly impossible medical conditions. Hospitals worldwide started collaborative research programs to unlock the biological secrets. Technology companies saw a revolutionary opportunity. The alien organism's information processing capabilities suggested entirely new approaches to artificial intelligence and computing. Silicon Valley tech giants began investing billions in research that could transform computational technologies. Environmental scientists discovered a new model of ecological adaptation. The organism's ability to modify its environment and rapidly respond to challenges suggested innovative approaches to climate change, ecosystem management, and sustainable development. Governments recognized the potential strategic implications. Military researchers began exploring how the organism's adaptive capabilities could inspire new technologies for defense, communication, and problem-solving. Intelligence agencies saw unprecedented opportunities for advanced information processing. Philosophical and scientific communities engaged in deep discussions about the nature of intelligence and life. The alien organism challenged traditional definitions, suggesting that intelligence could exist in forms far beyond human comprehension. Universities created new interdisciplinary programs to explore these groundbreaking concepts. Hye Jin became a global scientific icon. Her detailed molecular research inspired a new generation of scientists who saw the universe as a place of incredible possibility. Young researchers around the world began reimagining scientific boundaries. Economic markets responded dramatically. Technology stocks surged as companies invested in research inspired by the alien organism. New startup ecosystems emerged, focused on developing technologies based on the breakthrough discoveries. International collaboration reached unprecedented levels. Countries that had previously been scientific competitors now worked together to understand the extraordinary discovery. Research teams from different continents shared information, recognizing that this was bigger than any single nation's interests. Educational systems began transforming. Schools and universities developed new curricula that incorporated the revolutionary understanding of biological intelligence. Students learned about adaptation, communication, and intelligence in entirely new ways. Media produced countless documentaries, books, and digital content exploring the discovery. People around the world became fascinated by the possibilities suggested by the alien organism. Scientific literacy increased as people sought to understand the groundbreaking research. Religious and philosophical communities engaged in deep discussions about the nature of life and intelligence. The discovery challenged traditional understanding, suggesting that life could exist in forms far more complex and adaptive than previously imagined. Michael Rodriguez became a leading voice in explaining the broader implications. He helped the public understand how the research could transform multiple aspects of human knowledge and technological development. Elena Petrova focused on the communication aspects of the discovery. Her research suggested that intelligence could exist in forms that went far beyond traditional human communication methods. Universities created new programs exploring molecular and biochemical communication. The global scientific community recognized this as a pivotal moment in human history. It was more than a discovery. It was a complete reimagining of what life could be. The boundaries between biology, technology, and intelligence began to blur. As months passed, the initial excitement transformed into focused research. Governments, institutions, and private companies invested billions in understanding the alien organism's capabilities. Every scientific discipline found new possibilities in the breakthrough. Jae-sung reflected on the journey. What had started as a simple research expedition had transformed human understanding forever. They had discovered something that went beyond traditional scientific boundaries, a new way of seeing life, intelligence, and possibility. The universe humanity now understood was far more wonderful and complex than anyone had ever imagined. And the journey of discovery was just beginning.